Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Central on September 1st. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time to talk about strategies and tips and success stories and to support each of you. It's exciting to enter into a new month. Our clear goal is to help each of you that are white label partners help at least 8 clients in the month of September 2022, of course, and to position you to earn around $100,000. Now that sounds like a really lofty number, and if your income has been much lower than that, maybe it even seems unrealistic, but it's not. What we need to do is help people solve their problems, help small businesses get the capital that they want, that they need to start to grow, to reach their potential. So today we're going to have a very practical training, but it's going to be divided into 2 steps. I'm going to first review the information on the agenda here, and then we're going to come back and watch this new client video. So let's first go through the process and then come back and we're going to watch this video together. We'll be pausing it and discussing it momentarily. So what we had covered in a prior training in August was frankly this content. This content here is completely redundant from a prior training, whereby we explain that if you're a white label partner, you have a Dropbox, you go into your Dropbox and you'll find a template called the SBA Express Loan Package Agreement. It's an editable Word document. You're going to want to edit that with your information on it, your pricing. Then you're going to have the client sign it. You can use Adobe, DocuSign, or whatever you prefer to get an e-signature from them. And then depending upon what you're collecting from the client for the deposit, obviously you need to collect that from them. Then you'll upload the executed agreement into Dropbox and just a quick text. You'll see text here. Text, let us know that you've got a new client under contract. We'll invoice you for our portion, which is the $499.99. Again, anything that you charge them up front above that is your profit. Then you'll pay the invoice. Normally that's by wire, but other options can be agreed to. And then we'll handle the implementation. So none of that has changed. And then within your Dropbox, just as before, there's a whole training packet there ready for you, an editable flyer, editable press release. So the implementation is the same. What I was asked to do by several of you today, though, is say, well, let's get to that point. It was more of, I need some clients to implement. So we're going to go back to the prior step and go through this portion. Again, much of our discussion today will be watching this new training video, pausing it, because we believe we have some best practices on how to present the proposition. Now, we're going to talk about something that's difficult for me to keep everyone happy, but let's just have a frank conversation. Clients typically are not going to sign up just off of reading something. They often will benefit from seeing and hearing it. So I think a brief video like we're going to show you will help your conversions considerably. By using a brief video like this, it keeps you from having to tell the story over and over. I do think that a good number of clients would like to talk to you before they sign up, but that's up to you and your sales process. But using a brief training video, a brief video to explain. So what's my point? You could take the same prospect and just send them a flyer, or you could send them the flyer and a link to the training, whether it be our link here, or we can create one for you. Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, can build you all of this, but that's not my point. You'll have a much higher conversion ratio if they're able to see it and hear it, because most people are not diligent readers. With that being said, do you have to use a tool like this, like a client video, to close people? Absolutely not. But we've already covered, if you're not using some sort of on-demand video, then it's going to leave it to your burden to tell the story over and over and over. Number one, you may not have the time to do that. Number two, you'll probably get tired of doing that. Now, the sensitive topic, and again, I apologize, but let's just get it out there. Each of us have strengths and weaknesses. You do, I do, all of us do. Some of our partners are not really the best oral communicators. They probably think that they're a better oral communicator than they are, but sometimes they're scattered. Sometimes they allow clients to get off track. And so that's whatever the issue is, that they're not optimal. And I know none of us is perfect, so it's not about that. But some of you, I think, would be better off not talking to the prospect as much as you may be trying to do, and instead using a tool that's available on demand that can tell the story for you. Therefore, we're going to go through this video here briefly. It explains, rather you want to use the tool, whether you want to have Scott create one for you, or if you just want to learn how we pitch it, because this video is the pitch, then you'll be better prepared. So once you have a prospect, and if you need prospects, we had training yesterday, you can go to Synergy Direct Solutions. We have no financial affiliation with them, but a number of you are using them, seeing great results, and the leads that they're sending in are awesome. Not only are they good leads, but also they have full profiles. They have the prospect's name, email, phone. And what I really like is this. These are people that are actively looking for funding, and you know what they're looking for. You know the dollar amount. You know how they plan on using it. That makes you so much stronger in terms of being able to close them, because when you're reaching out to them, it's not a cold call. They're out there looking for funding, and you can relate to it. And I'll tell you the steps that I go through that works well in a moment. Now, Synergy Direct Solutions has some really affordable solutions. Again, I'm not a salesperson for them. I have no financial relationship. If you signed up, I would get zero. So this is not self-serving, but they don't work for free, just like you probably won't work for free. And so with that being said, if you need working capital yourself, then of course you can go through the process. But let's rewind back. So let's say that you have a prospect, whether it be someone you know or someone you got from Synergy Direct Solutions. I don't care where the prospect came from, but you have a prospect. Now we need to move them from prospect to client. Down here is how we make them a client, right? You get them the agreement and they sign it. But it's not so simple just to have a prospect send an agreement and they sign it. Now, some people will, but in many cases, there's some incremental steps there. You need to make the pitch, as we call it. So here's the process that I follow, and then you can replicate that or not. It's up to you. But once I have a prospect, what I like to do is I like to send them, and I send it using Adobe, and you all probably know. We used to use DocuSign. The DocuSign we had before was crazy expensive. We were spending up to $10,000 a month on DocuSigns. It was just terribly expensive. But we switched over to Adobe now. You can use whatever you want, but Adobe with a small fee, there's no incremental cost. So it saved us a lot of money, but you'll need some way to get the contract out. So more specifically, if I have a prospect, I like to get them the agreement right away. And so I'll send it to them via Adobe. Secondarily, what I like to do is I like to send them a text and include the video and say, hey, I received your request for funding, and I'll make specific reference because I'm going to know what their funding request is. Received your request for $110,000 for working capital and to cover payroll, whatever it is. Now, depending upon where your lead came from, you may not know that much detail, but it's okay. The process is still the same. They're requesting money, you're responding to that. And then I'm going to send them this link. I want them to watch this link for a couple reasons. I think the video is good. We're going to go through it momentarily. I think the video is good. It saves my time. Like I talked about earlier, you'll probably want to use some sort of tool. It's on demand, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's consistent. So if I'm a little bit tired, the message is still the same. If it's middle of the night, the message is still the same. Okay, so my process, once I have a lead, I like to send them, I'm summarizing here, I like to send them the agreement right away. I want them to have the agreement. And then also I send them a text. The text will have a link to this video, or I actually have used a little bit of a different video, but it's similar to this. So I'm going to send them a link to an on-demand video and let them know, hey, reply back with questions or go ahead and complete the Adobe and we'll get started without delay. Works really well. So what I want to do is go through this video that explains, it is the pitch. And if you want Scott to create, you know, landing page and a YouTube video that's actually branded to you, we can do that. But I don't care about that as much as I want you to understand how we explain the program. So let me pause the share for a second here. Let me get the video pulled up. And then we're going to go through, but I'm going to be pausing it periodically because I want us to talk about why we say the things that we say when we say it. And of course, any point you have any questions, comments, or concerns, type it in the Q&A. We'll stop the video and discuss it, because our goal today is to help you close more deals in September. So the fact that the video is not, that it is interrupted doesn't matter, because we're having dialogue. Okay, so let me share the screen again with the video up. That's going to pop up here in a second. Okay, so if you all don't see the video on your screen, let me know. I'm going to start to play it. If you don't hear it, you don't see it, please let me know in the Q&A. So here we go. Hello, everyone. I want to spend just a few minutes with you to talk about the new SBA Express Loan Program. As shared here on the screen, this is a great way for startups and early stage businesses to access up to $150,000 very quickly. As I think you may know, those of us that started our 501c3, we all used to work for the SBA. And I really believe that the SBA 7A Express loans are some of the best kept secrets in terms of small business finance. Okay, so pause for a second. So we're building credibility, aren't we? We just did a couple things. We let them know that the background of our developers, we are prior SBA employees. So that it's true, of course, but it sounds good. And then secondly, we're letting them know this is probably the best kept secret in small business finance. Now, I really believe that to be true, but I think a lot of people have heard about SBA loans, and other than the PPP and EIDL, which were pandemic related, COVID related, most of them really don't know how to navigate this process. So what people often will do is when they don't understand something, they'll dismiss it. So there were some key talking points, not necessarily shown on the page directly, but again, you know, this is some coaching for you if you care to accept it. So either you could integrate in these key talking points to your verbal pitch, or frankly, better yet, use this video or have Scott create a similar video that's branded to you that has it embedded. But let's proceed. Here we go. Now, while we're only able to get at least at most 150,000 from this tranche, this could be the initial tranche, and then we could go for other types of capital afterwards. So another key point there. Everything has strengths or has pros and cons, right? Pretty much anything in life, you're not much you're going to find that's perfect, but many things have pros and cons. And so I think you add to your credibility when you start to explain to them that the SBA Express Loan Program isn't perfect. And so what we just did in that segment of the video is to let them know, hey, one of the downsides of this is the cap is 150,000. I'm sorry, but that could be just the first tranche. Now, for a lot of people, they would say, well, that's fine. If that's the worst you have is that it caps at 150, we're in good shape. But you're going to have some clients that want more, need more, and maybe this isn't a good fit, but maybe it could be just the first step. Let's proceed with the video. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback as we're going through and breaking down this pitch video, feel free to put it in the Q&A. Here we go. Also, I'll be first to admit, the SBA loans much more than 150,000, up into the millions. But there's different SBA funding programs, and then different banks operate differently. So our strategic relationship with the specific bank for this program does have a hard cap of 150,000. So pause there. So again, we're building financial literacy because a lot of people don't know what they don't know, and also many people have misinformation. And so if someone were to say, well, wait a second, I know about SBA Express loans, 7A loans, and they can go to more than 150,000. This isn't true. Well, this program caps out at 150, but it is true that the SBA will guarantee loans up until the millions. But we're talking about this specific program. So we're educating them and maybe trying to give them some new information. It may be conflicting to what they thought before, but we're giving them truth, and what they had before was often a misunderstanding. All right, let's continue on. But don't let that be too negative. There's a number of positive attributes that we'll go through. So as I briefly mentioned, who should participate? Entrepreneurs seeking an initial tranche of up to 150,000 of capital to start or grow a small business. Let me pause this for a second. So again, this is the standard flyer. It is in your Dropbox. We develop things in Adobe, so you can go in and you can edit that using Adobe. If you want, again, Scott to put together the package with a landing page and create the flyer branded to you and the YouTube video edited to you, branded to you, then that's fine. But I want to stop for a moment separate from that and focus on who should participate. I believe that the more targeted your audience is, the better response and conversions you'll have, thus the more money that you'll make. So let's use an example. Let's take Alfred. Alfred's one of our top distribution partners. So let's say that Alfred is in Des Moines, Iowa. If Alfred were targeting small businesses in his area, and we've already told you all how Alfred could find a database for free through his library of every small business, and even identify newly formed LLC, C Corps, and S Corps. But let's say that Alfred's target is Des Moines, Iowa small businesses. He could frame this as a campaign for Des Moines, Iowa small businesses. Now, that's not a misrepresentation, while at the same time, Bruce might be doing it in Detroit and Warren might be doing it on the West Coast. But if you create a campaign that's targeted, whether it be by geographic area or specific industry, then it has, I think, even more, it resounds more strongly with the audience. Another example, and I forget who did this, I don't remember if it was Frankie or who was, joined her local chamber, and let's say it was the Miami-Dade County Chamber, for example. Well, with most chambers, you can set up a member-to-member benefit. And so what she could do, or you could do, is then join your local chamber if you wanted, and then make this program available to, for this example, the Miami-Dade County Chamber of Commerce members. So the point is, this statement of who should participate is good, but it can be even further strengthened the more specific. Like, we've gone and contracted with trade associations, like the National Black Women in Construction or something like that, NBWCC or whatever. And so then all of a sudden you can get their permission and start co-branding it with those organizations, those entities. Could be a church, could be a chamber, could be a trade association. So just keep in mind, the more that you can target your audience and let them know why this is being made available to them. Now, the truth is, we make it available to every qualified small business across the country. Qualified meaning that what they're doing is legal and it's US based. But you can create campaigns that are more niche targeted, and the recipients will tend to be more receptive to it. Okay, let's continue on. We can be pre-formation, we can be early stage, we can be startup. Frankly, we can even be mature, but you can't be too early in the process to qualify for the SBA Express program. So what did we just do there? We overcame a key objection. A key objection by many misinformed or uninformed prospects is, oh, a startup can't get an SBA loan. Well, that is untrue at a couple levels. And I don't want to overcomplicate this, but I feel a burden to peel back the layers maybe more than what's necessary just to give you a depth of understanding. So the SBA considers a startup business as a business in business for less than 2 years. Most of us use startup in a less specific way. Some of us will mean we've not generated revenue yet. Some of us will say, well, we've only been in business a couple months. But without semantics, without playing on words, I'm just clarifying that this program through this bank will start up a brand new business. So let's remove the word startup for a second because there's some different definitions. But the business can be brand new, have never generated any revenue, and can qualify. That's a factual statement. Moving on. As we know, and as stated here, according to the SBA, having adequate access to capital is one of the biggest challenges to entrepreneurs in reaching their potential. So this program can contribute towards having the capital you need to start, to grow, to thrive. So we have a technical advisory team of business paralegals. All of us have worked for the SBA and or SBDC. And so we have created many, many loan packages. And so we know exactly what the bank is looking for. And that's often the missing ingredient. Frequently, I'll have small businesses say, well, I need capital, but I can't get approved. In many cases, it's because either you're going after the wrong type of capital or you're not properly prepared and have. So that was a lot of information there. And you'll hear me go into it a little bit more in this video. I understand that the typical client couldn't give a hoot about a loan package. They've got a problem. They want and or need money. They want funding, and they want the least amount of time, effort, and expense to get from point A to point B. And so the SBA Express loan program is a very efficient way, but we still need to have a loan package. And that's technically what they're paying for the upfront fee. But I do realize, again, a lot of small businesses like loan package, why do I need that? And we'll talk more about it here in the remaining couple minutes of the video. But it's typically why people don't get approved. They think, oh, I just want money, I need money, just give me the money. You can't skip those steps. Why? Because the lenders are not fools, right? We've got to stop looking at things through our glasses, our rose-colored glasses, if you will, and look at it from the lender's perspective. They want to mitigate their risk. They want to know a little bit about the business, how much money is going to be needed, what it's going to be used for, and the loan package is often the difference between an approval and a decline. Let's move on. Having a loan package is essential, and we'll talk more in just a moment about what's included in a loan package. What's important about the SBA Express loan program is we have a contract with the bank, so we know exactly what they're looking for, exactly the forms and the content. So pause that. And so what I'm saying, of course, is true. We have a contract with the lender. We have the exact forms that need to be filled out. We know what they're looking for. So we're not going to lie, cheat, or steal. It's not about that. But half the battle is putting this loan package together. And it's no different than a house, right? Could you just go build your own house and construct your house? Well, you certainly could. However, you still need to start with a plan, right? Where's the wiring going to be? Where's the plumbing going to be? It's the plan. And so that's what you and I are doing, is helping create the plan, because we need the plan to get an approval. We can make it very easy, very simple, very streamlined, because we have a very laser focused approach. Now, we've received a grant. So now we're going to talk about cost. But before we tell them about cost, we're going to tell them about the financial benefit. As a white label partner, you control the pricing, right? So you may be editing this section of the flyer, or again, if you're having Scott put together the package, we can edit it for you. This is how we pitch it, and it works very well. I do respect that you, again, are a white label partner. You control the pricing, you control the pitch. But let's just go ahead and hear how we pitch it. Great news. You automatically qualify for the grant. So the cost of building the loan package is normally $2,500. The grant will cover $1,500 of that. So that reduces your portion considerably. And then of your portion, what the grant doesn't cover, we split that, and half of that you don't even pay until after you get your funding. Now, what many of you are doing from a pricing perspective, of course, number one, you're marking it up above our cost, because, you know, as a white label partner, you're going to pay us $1,000, half up front, half after the client gets funding. So anything that you charge above that is your profit. What many of you are doing is adding a little bit of money to the front end, but pretty much all of you, I believe, are adding a performance fee to the back end, and that's very common in the industry. So you may be charging them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10%, whatever it is that you want on the back end that allows you to receive a much greater reward. And the clients obviously will have the funding then, and typically are more willing to pay that because it's after they've seen results. So again, you can work on the pricing methodology that you want, but I can tell you that the human psyche, most people like to see, even though they have to pay something up front, make sure they understand what they're receiving. And then secondly, is that most of the funding is paid based upon results. Now, you'll have some clients that come to you, if there's anything up front, they're like pushing back. But that's usually for one of two reasons. Either they don't feel what you're offering is credible enough yet, or they're stone cold broke. Now, if they're broke and we need to work on financing for their deposit, that's a separate discussion. But what I like to do is if they push back and say, well, why do I have to pay up front? Well, let's say I'm talking to Charlotta, and Charlotta says, well, this all sounds good, but I don't know. Why am I paying anything up front? Well, Charlotta, do you have your lender compliant loan package ready to go? Because if you do, we can revisit this. But normally clients don't. Therefore, that's what our team of business paralegals need to do. We need to create that. Charlotta, why don't you go to a local attorney and say, hey, I don't want to pay you anything for your time, for your knowledge, for your effort. It doesn't work that way, right? Attorneys normally are going to charge a retainer of $300, $500 an hour for a set number of hours. We've got a package price. I mean, if they just want to pay us our normal hourly rate of $5.85 an hour, they can just pay us hourly, right? But that gets very expensive. So here we have a low package price, so it's known. We're applying some grant funding to make it even more affordable. And then we're splitting the balance, half up front and half afterwards. Some people will still push back. Well, I'll just pay you all afterwards. That should be fine. And it's like, why do you want my staff to work for free? Do you work for free? No, they're putting their time and skill and effort in developing the loan package, which is what you need to get approved. And we're splitting that up. We're making it very fair. So those are a few ways to overcome those objections. Let's go on. So it doesn't get any better than that. Let's scroll on down. So as we see here on the screen, we can help you fund your future with an SBA loan from an experienced banking partner devoted to your success. And so the bank that we're working with is one of the largest SBA lenders in the United States. They have a department specifically focused on this program, SBA 7A Express loans of $150,000 or less. We're getting approvals in the same day, in many cases an hour or two, and the funding is fast in only 10 days, technically 10 business days. So what I mentioned before is it's really important to understand that you need a lender compliant loan package to be approved. And I know a lot of small businesses think, well, I don't want a loan package, I just want funding. But it doesn't work that way. We have to show that we're qualified and credible enough to get approved, or we don't get the funding. So there's 3 steps to that process: a desire for capital, being qualified for the capital, and getting funded. Where a lot of small businesses fail is they skip the middle step. Oh, I want money, I need money, just give it to me. I think that's a pretty good analogy, that three-step process. So just to reiterate, there's lots of small businesses that want and need capital. I don't think you'll ever have a problem finding a prospect pool that meets that criteria. Small business is defined as less than 500 employees, by the way, by the SBA. But small businesses that want and need capital, but what they fail to understand is there's a three-step process. It's not like, oh, I just want it to come true, send me the money. We have to demonstrate that we're qualified for that. And an important, a crucial, a required element of that is having a lender compliant loan package. And that's what you and I are bringing. So when they're paying something up front, they're paying some portion of the cost of developing the loan package. That seems pretty reasonable to me. And then after they get their funding, then they're paying you the performance fee, whatever you decided to put into your agreement, and that's based upon the results. And the analogy that I like to use that works pretty well for that is real estate. If you ever bought or sold a home, after closing, there's a financial remuneration that goes to the real estate agents. Okay, we're almost done. We'll wrap this up. Let's go. Well, it doesn't work that way. So our team's going to help you build out the business plan. We know exactly what this lender wants. And frankly, it's a one-page business plan. They don't want 2 pages or 3 pages. Again, we've got a contract with them. We have all the information, so we can help create the loan package specifically as they require. We'll put together the financial projections and then put together the support documentation that's needed. So you might say, well, how long does this take? In most cases, we can pull this together in less than a week. If you're in a hurry, we can accelerate it, but let's just figure we need about a week to get prepared. So pausing there. So this is correct, of course. So the SBA Express program, we're fast tracking it. It's like, I don't know if you're a football fan, but as this is being recorded, we're 1 week out from the NFL season starting. So let's, Lon's on here. So let's say Lon and I decided we're going to go see an NFL game. Well, that is equivalent to like our access to capital program. We want funding, but we don't have clarity yet. But in this case, this is like Lon and I saying, let's go see the first Tampa Bay Buccaneer game. And so we know the date, we know the location. So it's very targeted. So when we're putting the loan package together for the SBA Express, we should be able to get that done in just a couple days, versus the 28-day process that we've historically done, where we don't know exactly what the end goal is. And so we're doing a broader set of work. It's like going and getting a general ed college degree versus an accounting degree. Okay, let's move on. We're almost done. Hang in there with me. We can apply for funding. As I stated before, we're typically getting same-day approvals, and then they need 10 days to fund it, but that's 10 business days. So what are some things you should know? Number one, quick approvals. We've talked about that same day as the application. Now, if we're working together and we don't get the application ready until 4 p.m. local time, it's not going to be approved the same day. It's going to be the next business day. But in general, same day. Fast funding, which we talked about, 10 days, but it's 10 business days. So you have to count in weekends and holidays. It is true, startup businesses can receive SBA Express loans, but we can't do this for a nonprofit. A lot of people have misinformation about SBA loans, and they'll say things, oh, like startups can't qualify. You have to be in business at least 2 years. That is not true. The SOP, the standard operating procedures of the SBA, states what the requirements are, but the SBA is the guarantor. You always are working through a bank or a lending partner. They have their own underwriting criteria. So when you hear misinformation like, oh, you have to be in business 2 years to get an SBA loan, that may be true for that given bank, but that is not true for the SBA, and it's certainly not true for our banking partner. Must be a US-based business. As I mentioned before, if 150,000 is not enough, we could start with that and then go after additional funding later. We offer no risk to you. We have a written guarantee, of course. People always, well, typically they'll ask, well, what about credit? What about credit? What about credit? Well, the SBA uses a different credit scoring algorithm, and it's called FICO SBSS. We only need a 165, and there's only 1 of 2 scenarios. Either you meet that or we'll help you meet that. So no worries about credit. It's a very streamlined process. So I encourage you to, I guess I'll pause here. So in summary for today's training, we wanted to talk about how to properly pitch the SBA Express program so you have a high conversion ratio. We believe that using some sort of on-demand video like this, and you can create your own, you can use this, you can have Scott create one, Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, can create one for you, as well as a landing page and customized flyers. It doesn't matter those specifics, but I do believe that making available an on-demand YouTube video that explains the pitch is going to make you more successful, help you make more money. It's going to consume less of your time, and it'll carry the message forth in a consistent manner. Because if you're not using some sort of on-demand tool like this, then what will happen is inevitably you'll become sometimes tired or rushed, or your schedule won't match when the prospect wants to talk. And I don't think that most people are going to sign up just because you send them the agreement, even though they have a need and you have a solution. This should be, in my opinion, an important step in educating the client about what you're doing, how you can help them solve the problem, and the benefits to them. And then some people this will be enough that they're ready to sign up, and they do automatically sign up. Some may have a few straggling questions that you can help with, but in a 5 to 10 minute prepackaged video, you can explain and embellish, overcome most of the objections, and position people to more likely enroll. So how do we apply this message today? And we'll wrap it up. Running long, I know. First of all, this video is up, it's available, and you can use it. Now, the downside of that is it's referring them back to us, and it has our pricing, but that's option one. Option two is you can go create your own. We've provided you this flyer. You can edit it in Adobe. It's in your white label Dropbox. And if you're comfortable, you can go create your own video, maybe incorporating some of these lessons and philosophies we've talked about. The third, and I think final scenario, is if you want Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, to put together a landing page or this YouTube, or if you need help customizing the flyer, then he can do that for you. I know the question is, well, how much would he charge? It depends upon the project, but you can email us and say, hey, I need help with the video or modifying the flyers or what have you. I'll get you in contact with Scott. Great guy, ethical. Remember what he has created, Jeff, and was granted last year. Jeff used the landing page and marketing campaign that Scott created. Jeff's one of our referral partners, and Jeff enrolled over 400 clients in one 30-day period, in 1 month. Wasn't a calendar month, but a 30-day period. 400 enrollments, and his conversion percentage, I believe, and you can confirm this with Scott, was 53 to 54%. So is this the only way to do it? No, but I encourage you to use a tool to explain the proposition, something like this YouTube video, because it'll increase your conversions, you'll make more money, it'll consistently explain it. And as I started, and again, I have all the respect in the world for all of you, but not everyone is an effective communicator. And so what will happen is some of you are, some referral partners are scattered, they're hard to understand, they skip around, and that's why there's not much results. It could be that they're just churning through, burning through leads, but they're not either credible or not effective in communicating the proposition. Using a 5 to 10 minute on-demand video like this will help you do that. So this video is up and ready to use right now. If you want to take what we've learned and create your own, do it. If that's not a competency of yours, and thirdly, and I'm closing on this, if you want Scott to create an on-demand video for a tool like this that's branded to you, then email us, let us know. I'll get Scott connected with you, and you all can work out specifically what your needs are, and he can get you a quote. He works very affordably, but he doesn't work for free, right? It's like you don't work for free. All right. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on today's message, which quite simply summarized is, please consider using an on-demand tool like this, like an on-demand YouTube, to consistently and accurately and thoroughly explain the proposition. So you'll make more money, you'll help more clients, you'll take less of your time. What questions does anyone have? Feedback on that? So, and this is what Bruce is getting at. If you want, you can still talk to the clients along with using the tool, or if you're trying to automate it where you guide them through the process and you're not talking to them, then the tool is even more essential. I'll make my closing statement and then end the training today. Again, when I refer to Jeff Sokol, real person, had the 400 conversions in a 30-day period last year, which is our record, by the way. He did not talk to one person. So I'm not advocating that you shouldn't talk to your prospects, but I'm just giving you the factual result. He enrolled 400 people. He used tools and techniques like this, and he talked to 0 people. He talked to 0 people. So using tools is important, regardless if you want to talk to your prospect or not, but especially if you're not a very strong communicator and or don't have much time, the tools are even more important. All right, well, that's it for today. We'll see you back tomorrow. Let us know at support@businessparalegalcorp.com how we can help you be successful. September should be an awesome month for you. Let's make sure that we do everything we can to support you. Have a great day. Bye.